Hey guys, welcome back. It's Muhammad again, and now we're actually up to section 4. Now what we're going to do is I'm gonna actually going to start, let's say for example, at the beginning I'm going to start one server and actually two clients and start working with that. I want to start changing computer names and IP addresses and all that because normally when you have a server, you should know we should not leave it as dynamic coming from the DHCP server. So I want to actually do that. At the beginning, I just need one server and two clients. But what I'm going to do is, watch this. I'm going to start all my machines just to show you. You don't have to do all the machines at the same time, right? I just want to do one server, let's say, and at the beginning, another two machines, let's say. I don't need the second server, but let's say here's my first 10 machine. And look, it's going to be, see how fast it is? I mean, because I have the virtual machine additions. And take a look at this. And here is my second 10 machine, right? And look, if I wanted to, I just want to show you the performance of my system, but I could have all the servers. Look at this. And look how fast it's going to be restoring. See that? That means it's good because I have the virtual machine additions, guys. Right? Remember, when you have that, it speeds up the actual process. So the first thing I like to do is this is my first server. Of course, the first thing that gets populated when you log into a server is actually what? Server manager, right? I mean, if this is closed, I can actually reach server manager from the start menu because I do everything from server manager. And right over here, this is server manager. Look, there's a few things that I want to actually change over here. First of all, I want to change the actual computer name. I'll leave it as it is, right? I want to give it a friendly name. Let's say I'm going to call it W2019-1. That's the name of my actual computer. So I'm going to go to local server, right? It's easier to deal with this. And this is the actual computer. And look, it's actually a work group. Remember at the beginning of our first section, we talked about domains versus work groups. So this is still a peer-to-peer network. It's not hosting Active Directory. I'm going to change and I'm going to call this W2019. Look at this dash what? One. See that? And of course, I don't have a domain to join it. So it's still actually a standalone server. So this server is a standalone server, as you see. So I'm going to click OK and all the way through until it actually restarts. Then after this, I'm going to set up actual IP addresses. So let me minimize this and let me go to my second server. All right, look, see that? It's fast. It's not actually slow. So look at this. Here's my actual second server. And I'm going to change it to W 2019 dash what? 2 and leave it as a work group because I don't have a domain yet. Click OK. Leave it as take the default configuration, right? So I'm going to click OK, close, and restart. Then I'm going to go to the first 10 machine, right? Click on the folder, or I could do just Windows and the letter E to explore Windows. Go to System Properties and change the computer name to W10-1. This is my first client operating system, right? So here I could go to Advanced System Settings. Let me just show you. There's different ways where you could actually do this. Look, rename this PC, right? I could do it from here, or I like to do it this way, where when I do Windows, like Windows E, I could explore Windows. This is just a different way for reaching. I like shortcuts, right? And here's the computer name itself, right? And I could change. I could look at the computer itself, right? I could change all different settings over here. I like to do this. I like to look at it in a different way where it says, rename this PC from here, advanced. And I could just, get this actually here, change, and just W10, let's say dash one. Then okay. So everything is actually still on a work group, as you see. Client operating systems, when it comes up to IP addresses, static IP address, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. There's one thing I could do here, which is probably, let me just show you. See the sound. Sometimes it gets detected, so the sound gets captured on the virtual, if you notice, right? So I could actually remove the sound itself because I don't need sound on the virtual machines. So what I want to do over here, so we don't actually have trouble with actually sound, just wanted to show you how things actually work here. So I could remove this, all right? There's no need for that. So let me just go ahead. and do this on this machine over here. I could take anything out of the virtual, right? That's the beauty about it. So when I go to system properties, I'd rather do it from here, advanced system settings, computer name, just to show you, change, and W10 dash what? That's two. And leave it as a work group because I don't actually have a domain yet, right? So I'm just changing computer names right now. That's what I'm actually doing. Just changing computer names. And click OK and restart. All right. There you go. So let me go to actually my first server. Here it is. Let me log on. My time zone is Pacific. I want to change it to Eastern time zone, right? Just to match. Depending on your time zone, my time zone is Eastern time zone. So I'm going to actually switch the actual time zone to Eastern time zone. See, the first thing that populates is server manager. I do everything from server manager. So everything is actually done from server manager. And let me log on to my, there you go, my second server. Where's my second server? Here's my second server. And let me log on to the second server. Right. And let's take a look and see. And I could log on to all the actual computers just to see. Remember the password? I just left it as the number one. All right. And my second 10 machine. See how fast they are? I have a lot of RAM, so I could be running all these, even though I don't need them at the moment. I'd rather, configure what needs to be actually done. And I'll go to local server over here. And the first thing I want to do is check my time zone, right? And I want to change it to Eastern. Right? Where's Eastern? Right over here. All right. So here, let me refresh, and it should be Eastern time zone. It tells me I have 8 gigs. That's my actual CPU. But the IP address, I want to change it to static. So whatever number I get from my wireless router, same thing goes to you. I want to check status. Watch this. Details. I want to put everything in statically. My default gateway is 2. My DNS is 2. And here's my IP address, 223.120. So it's a class C, a private class C, right? I'm not using version 6, so I'm going to remove version 6, as you see. So this is 192.168.223.128. Default subnet mask. We're not subnetting over here. 223.2 and DNS, same thing. I'm pointing everything to the outside world so I can actually get online. It's not going to stay like this, but for now, I want to keep it like this just to show you. Refresh server manager. Here's the IP address. I could also open the command prompt, Windows R, CMD to open the command prompt. Let me just change the fonts over here just to show you different ways where I could actually do all of this. All right. 28 colors, screen text. I changed to green and okay. I like to do this, just clear my screen. And if I do IP config, it just shows me my IP address. But if I do IP config /all, I could see all the configuration, right? I could go to my network connections from here, ncpa.cpl. That's a shortcut to go to my network connections. I could even do status details. I could get all this, my MAC address, all this, right? I could go to properties and I could do everything from here, as you see. All right. Let me close this, close, and let me exit out. And look, here's my computer name. I could just type the word host name over here, host name, and I could see my computer name also. So let me exit. This is server one. I'm going to go to server two, and let's take a look at server two. I'd rather look at a full screen, guys. All right. Here's my local server. Let me just check my actual configuration. Let me see what number this one got. It's a Class C, of course. It's coming from the same wireless router. 223.129, the next available number. Look, the same gateway and DNS for all of them. 223.129. So I'm going to remove version 6. And I'm going to put the IP address in statically. 192.168.223.129. And 2 is the gateway and 2 is the DNS. Everything is pointing to where? To my wireless router. Then okay, then okay, then okay. If I refresh, I could see my actual IP address. This looks good. I'm going to change my time zone to Eastern. All right. Then okay, then okay. So this looks good. All right. Let me go to the first 10 machine. All right. Look, the time zone is actually perfect. So let me open my network icon over here, ncpa.cpl. That's a shortcut. I'd rather use shortcuts. You're a network admin. You better use shortcuts. Status. Details 223.130, the next available number. You see that? This is a client. So what I'm trying to tell you is, you know what? I do not need to change the IP. I just wanted to check the IP addresses themselves, right? I could check the IPs. So I got the next available number over here. But normally I don't switch to static. I want to switch to static. Okay. But normally you don't actually do this. I only have two clients. Just for the sake of the lab, I'm going to switch to static right now. Okay. 223.130. I'm just putting everything in statically. So numbers don't change. But in reality, I would leave this obtained automatic, and I'll switch that later. All right. I'm just trying to do this so you guys have similar setup over here. Of course, you're not going to have the same numbers. All right. It's probably going to be a class A, B, or C, but it's going to be a private network. So that's done over here. It's the change right now. We'll see that in a moment. And if I go to my second 10 machine, you'll see why I did this just in the sake of nice, right? Let me get rid of version 6 and version 4 and 192.168.223.131 and gateway, which is IP address on my router, is 2, and DNS for name resolution is actually my wireless router 2. Also, then okay, then okay. Well, we actually finished this lecture. So this is actually what we did. We just changed IP addresses, changed computer names. Our next lecture is to test connectivity between all these computers, right? Before we start deploying and dealing with Active Directory. So we'll see you guys in our next lecture. So later on, guys. All right, then. Bye.